Hey, it's Tess. I just thought I'd go live here. I'm a little bit earlier than yesterday because I forgot until about 11 o'clock last night. Today, I'm just going to refresh everybody's mind that I am doing things differently. I left the W-2 world 2 years ago, the first week of January. I have been studying life insurance. I've been studying the IBC Practitioners Program, which is taking specially designed whole life policies to create banking systems, and I myself am so strong in my belief of that and actually have several policies myself that I want to be part of the team that helps to educate others so that they can look for other ways to manage their finances and reach for things in life that maybe we once thought weren't available, but really truly is available to all of us. But today I thought I'd go in another little direction. Most know I'm a published author now. And I thought I would talk about this today because I've had several people reach out to me. One really cute, and I'll share that in a minute. And then a couple have been like, how did you write a book? Well, I'm going to tell you that this book has been written several times already. But what happened to me is there were a lot of people trying to direct me on how to write a book. And I didn't know what to do. And I took classes and I was trying to study and I was writing it out. And by the point of November of this year, I actually had 23 principles that ended up becoming this book. And what happened is that Bob McIntosh, which is the CRM manager, the marketing manager for Chris Noggle, it challenged me to get the book done when we were in Charlotte in November. So what happened is when I came home, I started thinking about this idea of 23 principles, and I'm like, I really need to buckle this down and create something that is manageable, because I think what happened is I just kept trying to fine tune and fine tune and fine tune. And I think I blew it out more than what I really needed to. And I had to kind of mold it together. So I had to look at what were similarities. What was I making similar but slightly different to create what now is 7 principles into 23. So I spent a lot of time in shifting things and bringing them together and trying to find themes and pulling the pieces together. And it also meant that some of my stories crossed, but I was trying to be really careful in that the stories that I was telling, that if I mentioned it here, I just mentioned it, and more of the story comes later in the book. So I was kind of working through it that way. And so it took a lot of time for me to go from November to where I went published on February 4th, it went to Amazon, and February 6th, they published it for me, because that's when I was actually in the air between Detroit and Salt Lake City, and it was published when I was in the air. But it was a lot of work. So I don't want people to think I just sat down and pumped it out. I sat down in November and released it by February. I had written this thing several times because different coaches had different ideas of a direction I should go with it. And I tried to follow each one of them, but I kind of got stuck and didn't know what to do. And when Bob issued the challenge, go and make it happen, that's what I did. I said, okay, what do I think I need to do? I need to make there some kind of a theme here. I need to narrow it down from 23 to something that's manageable. And then I need to release it, stop reworking it. Because what tends to happen is when you're, especially the first time out of the gate, you're so self-conscious that you're wording and rewording and rewording and rewording. So having my 30-year friend who actually entered the insurance industry with me 30 years ago, we both went in within like a month of each other. She has her own publishing company, and she actually was editing and illustrating, and I was writing, and then she was kind of looking over the writing, and we were working together to get it to print. So that was kind of nice too, because she's known me for so long that it was kind of nice to have someone there that was seeing things before I put it out. So did it just come together in a month or two? No, I've worked on this for a long time. But something really cute happened today about this too. I had somebody reach out to me and say, so on page XX, you referred to a friend. Is this a friend I know? And it was so funny because, yes, it was. It wasn't the person reaching out to me, but it was somebody they know very well. And it's kind of cool that it was written in such a way that when I was referencing something, somebody knew exactly who or why or what I was referencing. So that makes me feel good that I represented as honestly as I possibly could, and the truth of my story or how this resonated with me. I also had another thing beautiful happen to me today, and it is that Apple has finally released me from my permanent lockdown. For those that don't know, because I've been getting into this, trying to help other people with these specially designed whole life high cash value insurance policies, that something happened and I triggered wrong somewhere and I got in a permanent lockdown. Well, they just reached out to me, and it's been 6 weeks I've been in lockdown, and that means none of my apps worked. Nothing was working. If I tried to send out a text, sometimes it would go out, sometimes it wouldn't. People would try to send me texts and I would get these funky messages in email because it wouldn't go to my phone. So it was a nightmare. And so Apple called me tonight and they said, we don't do this. Number one, we never call people, but we called you. And number two, you read our conditions because we're going to release you from being permanently locked down, and make sure you don't break the rules again. But they won't tell me what rule I broke, so I don't really know. But they were kind to help me to release it, so I am grateful. I'm grateful they called me. I'm grateful they're lifting it. I'm grateful that I can move forward. AC's on. Thank you, AC. It means a lot to me that the book resonates. To the best of my ability, was as truthful to my truth, how I interpreted it. Because the one thing we all know is that you write from your experience or how you feel about the events in your life. And somebody may see it slightly differently, but it meant so much to me today when one of my friends reached out and said, do I know the person that you referenced at page XX? And I'm like, yep, you do. And that means I did it in the right way. But there's nothing negative. These are all my lessons and the things that I learned in life. And I just didn't want people to think that I sat down and wrote this from the middle of November till February and released it like this. This is something I've been working on for years, and Bob just challenged me to stop rewriting it and get it out. And I am and will always be grateful to him for it, because I think I was afraid to go out of the gate. And now I'm not afraid. I've been through the process once. I know I can do it again. And maybe I think I will do it again, because I kind of led to that idea at the end of the book. And it's my story. It's kind of like social media. You have every right to scroll past if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you. But if it does resonate with you, then that warms my heart, because I want to share from a good place, a place of helping other people. My legacy is going to be the people that I help around me, or the lessons that I've learned that I share with others. And it's meant a lot of change for me. Even like I said, the way I work now is very different than what it was. I was a W person sitting behind a desk, just pumping things out and always under the radar. And when some things came down in October of last year, I had a conversation with Chris Nagel, and he said, you don't belong behind a desk, you belong front and forward facing. And I thought, it's hard sometimes to take that step, but I do believe that it is time for me to take those steps. And I'm grateful for the opportunities. And where can I post some of? Sure, absolutely. You can post some of my quotes. And I did actually, that is one thing too. I was very careful in this book, where you see that I have quotes. I actually, in the very back, have several pages that I refer to where I got the quotes from. So in the very back, when you see these are like my bibliography of where I pulled the information from on the internet, because I want to acknowledge the people that I got the information from, because I may interpret things differently than people. I may pull it together with a different meaning than people. I'm moving forward differently, but any information that I'm gathering, it's been because I found somebody that knew something differently than I did. It's not that I created, it's that I learned from those around me. And that's been a beautiful gift, because the best parts of my adult life are now, in the past 10 years. Because prior to that, and you'll know based on reading the book, I dealt with a lot of medical conditions, a lot of surgery, a lot of mindset issues, a lot of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I didn't skate into La La Land. I struggled for probably a solid 20, 30 years with stuff that propelled me to get to the point that I am now. And for that, I'll be grateful that the plug didn't get pulled before I got to this place. I made it to this place, and I will never discount how good it feels to be here, and how important it is to me to share what I've learned through this process so that others can battle that. I mean, for those that haven't read it, I mean, I shared everything that I thought was helpful. I mean, at the back, I shared my before surgery pictures. I shared my 1-year pictures. I shared the people on this journey that have helped me along. And it's changed my life. And some people are no longer in my life as a result of that. And then there are new people in my life. And it's just, I think, about progress. We all grow at different rates, and we all have a different desire to accomplish things in this life. And believe it or not, it's like I'm at a crossroads again, because completing this has opened doors to head in new directions. And it's a beautiful journey. And there is an embarrassment part about it, about putting yourself out there, but it's also an opportunity to let people that know that things that you face, other people have faced too, and you can get through them. And it's not always easy, but it's possible. And if that's the one thing I could say through this, is that I want to help others to reach for more than they ever dreamed possible, because it would have been a sad day for me if I had been called home before I ever got to experience what I've experienced in the last 10 years. I had beautiful moments younger, and most of those moments, and you will run across some of them in the book, are the students that I tutored and the story hours that I worked through, and, you know, all the different things that I've done in my life. But it's different now, and it's reaching people in a different way, and it's beautiful, and it's fun, and it's exciting. I had one of the money mentors reach out to me today, because we're going to touch base on how we can work together going forward. So for me, this is the beginning of opening so many doors that I didn't even realize. And like AC's talking about, legacies take time, and my legacy is completely different than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Because 10 years ago, for those that don't know, and this part is not in this book, but when I first started working with Doc V, and he was working on mindset, I was in small groups with him. And when we were in those small groups, he asked me why I went down the path I did. And at the time that I first started down this path, my goal was to get 10 years off the bench. I went for surgery hoping to get 10 years off the bench. And if I got called back home after 10 years, that would be okay. And Doc V looked at me and said, why is 10 years enough? And I thought that's all I had left. I didn't think there was an opportunity for so much more. And he said, don't discount at 10 years. And boy, am I glad I didn't listen to him, because right now I'm in the 9th year. And honestly, for me, it's just beginning. So don't ever think that days are numbered based on age or based on what you've already gone through in life, because the door is always ajar. And maybe one of my favorite quotes is, there are always hundreds of doors in front of you. And Jay Shetty actually said that the best gift he found out is the day that he realized that you don't have to pick a door, go through every single one of them. If you walk through a door and it's not the right one, you'll know. Then you go, check, not the right one, and go to the next door. Just keep going through all the doors, and you'll find the path that's meant for you. And that's what I'm doing. I will not leave a door unturned. I'll walk through it. If it's the right one, I'll keep walking and find the next path. If it's not, I'll end up in the tree, on the right branch, and in the right direction. I know I just have to keep pursuing. And for me, it's probably been the greatest time of my life to keep pursuing, to learn, and then to share, because I would hope that this can also impact other people. So I won't keep this going forever, but thank you for all of you. And for my one friend that reached out and said, do I know the person on page blah, blah? That made my day, because not only did I represent honestly, and it was a cute little story, but it was in a way that people actually even recognized when it was somebody that they knew. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And I will see you again tomorrow. So see, look, 3 days in a row. And it's not 11 o'clock tonight. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. And we'll talk tomorrow.